All right, good evening. Good evening, everyone. This is Dillard coming to you live with another episode of Teen Talk Live. And I apologize, we're running just a little bit behind here, but we're glad you're here. We're glad you stuck around to join us for this conversation because I really want you to weigh in. Let me make sure that I mute this. But yes, I really want you to weigh in on tonight's conversation with Miss Chanel Hill. And we're going to be talking, the topic for tonight's conversation is protecting our Black girls. And this conversation stemmed from the documentary, the R. Kelly documentary that was aired a week or so ago. So let me take a minute just to welcome our guests. Hey, Dr. Paula, thanks for being here. Hey, Dre, I'm so glad you're joining us. Monica, hey, what's up? Jocelyn, thanks for being here. And Wynn, I'm so glad that you are here. And Deacon Sue, thanks for being here in the house with us tonight. We are having a really important conversation. So like and share this out and invite other people to be here with us. We are going to be talking to Miss Candace Hill tonight. No, Miss Chanel Hill. See, I did.
Chanel.
I did that. Miss Chanel Hill tonight. About protecting our Black girls. Chanel, welcome to Teen Talk Live.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we're just going to let people know that you're not driving. You're just in your car because you couldn't get
I am not.
In the
house. Service is really bad in the building.
Right. And so she went outside to make sure that we could get a good connection. Thank you so much. So tell our audience, who is Chanel Hill and what do you do in this world?
Oh, I am just a girl from California who was just trying to help. So my name is Chanel. I am from California. I now reside in Chicago, Illinois. I work at a high school, at Corliss High School. I am part of the Working on Womanhood program, which is a clinical counseling program for girls in grades 7th through 12th. I also do part-time practice and private practice, Chicago Christian Academy Counseling Center, where I am a child and adolescent counselor. I also am over the mental health aspect of our teens at New Life Covenant Church, and I just go out trying to share my story, my experiences. I'm 31, but I have a whole lifetime of a young Black girl growing into now amazing Black woman. I am a mentor. I am a mentee. I do so much, but mostly I just try to let my light shine and then try to help our girls as much, and our boys too, as much as possible.
Well, amen. Thank you for sharing that with you. And so, we have people join in, and Wynn said, was I able to drive home with my eyelashes? So let me give you just a little backstory about what happened. It doesn't have anything to do with our conversation, but the other day I did a photo shoot. And so for my makeup session, they put eyelashes on me. And this was my first time ever having fake eyelashes on, right? And so I am trying to drive, and the lashes kept bumping up against my eyeglasses, and I couldn't see.
OMG.
So I wanted to snatch them off in the car, but I needed some Vaseline. So no, I made it home and as soon as I got home, those eyelashes were gone. Thank God I got home safely. So power to my sisters who can wear those lashes. More power to you. So Chanel, yes, Chanel is in the car, and that's when I recorded that. So Chanel, we are talking, and again, it brings us back to our topic, protecting our Black girls. So we are talking tonight about, the R. Kelly story that was aired, what was it, a week ago or so? And it created...
Yeah, it'll be 2 weeks this week.
It'll be 2 weeks now? Wow. So it has created quite a stir, a social media uproar. It has, it had everybody that I knew talking. And so give me an idea of your perspective on what we saw.
Okay, so moving to Chicago, it is a known fact on the things that Mr. Robert Kelly does out here. It is a known fact. One of the schools they talked about, actually, Kenwood, is right down the street from my house where I stay at. So being out here 7 years, he is a major celebrity out here, but everybody knows what he does. So that is just very interesting to me. So it with it being known knowledge and in the case coming out, but to actually see it even more, like hear the stories and like see interviews from back when Aaliyah and all the way on and understand how he was found out, how he was let off and what's still going on. It just made me really sad and really upset, really upset, really upset. I think what made me more upset though was the comments that I saw on social media. I like actually was deleting people for the simple fact that the victim shaming, well, where are their parents? And he didn't put a gun to their head and things like that. And also realizing one key fact of how we have a cycle, right? We don't talk about those cycles, how something happens in our family where we were molested because it was said later that he was molested by their older sister. So that is what happens when trauma in our family, when things occur in our family that we don't take care of, and we sweep it on the rug and we live by this motto, what happens in our house stays in our house. That's what happened. Hurt people become hurt people. So because his trauma was not checked and he was able to go on, and even in school, it was just so many layers. I'm like, how did he not read and write? It was just so many layers. It's so many layers. But really that trauma from molestation, him not getting help, and it just the cycle repeated.
Yes, it was very complex, and like you said, there were so many different layers to navigate, and yeah, there were questions about, okay, where are the parents? How come the parents didn't know? And I had some of those questions too. And also how come aren't the teachers mandated reporters? Right? Because there was one teacher who said she knew why he was on campus at this school. So we talked about that, and how come the school allowed the girls to be preyed on during school time? How come all of that? How come all of those things happen? So I think it left a lot of people with a lot of questions of where were the parameters, where were the guards, where was the protection? But the one of the statements that stood out to me, which is why we're doing this show, is when one of the girls said they knew it was happening, but nobody did anything because we're just Black girls. What do you think about that? And what do you think about that statement? And is that evident in our Black girls today?
It is very evident in our Black girls today. Like I said, I work at a high school now, but I've been working in the school system for about 10 years. I was on the west side, I was on the south side. And I worked in the school system in Oakland with primary, urban, and minority Black girls. And they're not protected because people look at them as they're fast. It's a societal issue. It's also a family issue, and they're not protected. I keep seeing this quote. They say from Malcolm X, the most unprotected person is the Black woman. And that starts from the Black girls. And they're perceived as less than. So in their mind, they think they're less than. And then when they have people who don't even care about them, they walk around as they're less than. So they're not protected because you saw the breakdown from the whole police notifying him of welfare checks to people just bypassing like, oh, even the social media comments, oh, they should have known what they're doing. A 14-year-old knows they're a child and they're not able to be children. So I think, no, they're not protected. There are people like me and you, who are fighting to protect them, but as a whole, they're not protected. And that's very unfortunate and that's very sad.
And I would agree with you because and I want my audience to chime in. Let me just pause and welcome Mrs. Jane. Thanks for being here. Krista, thanks for joining us. And Shantuan, thanks for being here. Brenda, I'm glad you're here. And Zena, thanks for being here. And I want you all to weigh in. Cassie, I'm glad you're joining us. I want you all to weigh in on this conversation because a lot of you who are watching right now, you are mothers of Black girls. And so I want to hear from you. I want to hear your perspective. And you know what? I'm going to go on my phone because sometimes I don't see all the comments as they're being posted. And I think this is a really critical conversation. So if you are a mother of a Black girl, or if you know of a mother of a Black girl, share this out, and so other people can be a part of this conversation, because I think this is a critical conversation to have. Chanel, what I was gonna say is, I totally agree with you because I've been working in academia for over 25 years. And the thing about it is I see that in our girls, and I see how the way they feel, they project the way they feel, which cause continuous and further, I want to say scrutiny, but it's more than scrutiny, criticism, further criticism of them and their behaviors, and not people necessarily looking to say what has happened to them. You know, what's wrong with them? Why are they doing this? Why are they so fast? But really taking a look and say, what has happened to that young lady that she feels the need to show up that way? Is that what you're seeing?
Absolutely. A lot of my kids, when I work with at school, they either come in my office or, I hear the security guards. Like I had to tell one off because, her words were, "Oh, I hate that little bitch." What? You're a grown adult. Like, why are we talking to our kids like this? And a lot of my kids, I see right past that hard exterior that they put on. And a lot of them have a lot of environment issues starting at the home that they take care of because they're children and they're not fully developmentally there yet, especially in their brains yet. They don't know how to fully cope. So it comes off in fighting. It comes off in promiscuous behaviors. It comes off in attitude. But if you really took time to actually sit there and ask a girl what is wrong with her, what is going on. Like I had a student who was just out of control last week. I asked her, and I remember the principal was looking at me funny because the questions I was asking, I was like, he was talking about behavior, but I was like, well, did you eat last night? Where did you stay at? Did you stay at home? How's grandma doing? What's going on? Found out mom was hadn't been home because she's in jail for selling weed and all these. So it's like you guys are really quick to get on this girl, and I'm not excusing behavior, but after asking questions, she bouncing from home to home. She doesn't have the right kids are talking about her because she smells because she hasn't been able to take a full shower, and her mom is in jail, so who's preparing for it? So it's like we have to take time to really ask. We don't though. We don't. We just see like, oh, she has an attitude, and we just gonna, suspend them, or they're fighting and coming. They didn't have a coping mechanism, so that fight they had is just they got tired of something else going on, and they snapped.
That is so. I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the head and that's why I always kept snacks in my room. When I was in school-based mental health therapy, as a school-based mental health therapist, I had to keep snacks in my room because the girls, not just girls, but the students would come in and they would be literally hungry. And they might not have had time to get a lunch or to get breakfast, but there's something else going on. And another big piece was a lot of times they would get an attitude because they didn't feel like their hair was right. And then it became a behavioral issue when it doesn't have to be. And then the power struggle ensues.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
Absolutely, absolutely.
it's like we had to step back and say, okay, are your basic needs met? Are your basic needs met before we move on to some
And
kind
9 times out of 10, they're not.
Exactly. I haven't slept last night. I had to take care of a sibling. Or, like you said, I'm worried about mom. She's not around. Or mom had somebody over and I didn't feel safe. I mean, the whole gamut. And so the fact that that young lady said we're just Black girls, so nobody bothered, that really bothered me. And it bothered me basically because I knew she was telling the truth, because I see it every day. So tell me, how can we, what do we need to do to hear our Black girls, to really truly hear them and not be dismissive of them?
Listen. they'll tell you if I mean just honest, just listen through their behavior, listen through their words, listen through their gestures, and just sit there. And like, sometimes I'll be in my office, my kids come in, they just be talking, I'll be doing all kinds of stuff, and they know I'm listening, and that's all they need. So I'm just sitting there like, okay, I hear them. And that's all I need, is to vent and then just get out and just listen to them. If they come and tell you, you can tell about a behavior. Somebody comes around and now they got an attitude, or they want to stay in a room, or they don't want to come over anymore, or they like, why are we going over there? What you think is an attitude, I say look past that and really ask. So listen and ask questions. Ask questions.
That is so true. Because what we think is an attitude might be a girl's way of saying, I don't feel safe, but I don't have the words to say that. I don't know how to say that.
Right.
Or you might get mad at me if I say that, but I really don't feel safe. And your point.
And a lot of girls are saying that in their behavior. A lot of them.
Right. And so, it's something important that we have to look at, and it's that behaviors really are indication that there's a need unmet. It's either saying I don't have the skills for this, or there's something that I'm not getting. But when we look at behaviors, usually it's not something personal against somebody. Usually it's a signal that I have an unmet need.
Most of my girls that I'm closest to this day, I can be honest and say when I first met them, we either got into it, they either cursed me out or something like that. But I stood there, and in my actions and my behaviors, I showed them that I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't fearful, and I wasn't about to leave and be inconsistent, because they're looking for consistency. And now some of them, we are close to this day because of that. And our first interactions was not good at all, not good. But because I listened and I was like, okay, you're doing all that, but I'm still here. Exactly. We are close to this day.
Exactly. And it's important. What you're saying is so true. And this is National Mentorship Month. And so, for all the people who are out there who are trying to protect our girls and who are listening and who are mentoring, shout out to you for being there and for listening to them. And Wynn says, speaking for myself, I worried about making somebody mad at me when I was a kid. And that's a huge statement, Wynn, because that is so common. Because if somebody is mad at you, in my experience, what I've seen, then different things get withheld from you and your needs are further not met.
Right. Because even I'm 31, but I'm ever involving as a young woman. But even if I make like a bad decision, I still with my mom be like, oh, I don't want to tell you because I don't want you to be mad at me. And my mom always ensures that she might be disappointed, but we'll get through this. So I think for the parents out there, that is another thing, ensuring your students or for your parents and those working in schools. My kids do the same thing. Like they would disappear and I would not see them and I'll see them for a while. We're like, where you been? And find out they were hiding because something had happened. And I always reassure them. So parents reassure them like, okay, Miss Hill might be disappointed, but we all make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. Don't ever try to hide because we can try to get through this and you don't have to go through this alone. So they become more comfortable in telling me like, hey, Miss Dill, I messed up last night and I messed with such and such. Or hey, Miss Dill, my grades are bad. Or hey, I cut somebody out today. I didn't mean to. So having communication and constantly reassuring them, because if you have a 6-year-old and then you have a man or a woman telling them, hey, if you tell somebody I'm messing with you, I'm going to kill them. Or if you tell somebody, that's manipulative behavior. If you tell somebody I'm touching on you, you better not tell anybody because I'm going to kill them or they're going to leave you or this, then they hold it in. And a lot of people don't find out until years later. That's a manipulative behavior. So we have to, through our words and affirmation, kind of come against that manipulative behavior, letting them know like, you can talk to me. I love you. I'm here for you. You got this. We make mistakes when we get back up. See, my mother always kind of encountered those voices that was in my own head because a teen, they don't understand. They just have this person manipulated on the side. So now they need to hear you so then that we can cover that.
That is so true. That is so true. And Monica said, I was a people pleaser and searching for love and significance. And that is, oh my goodness, that is such a characteristic that can lead us into so much danger when we learn to be a people pleaser so that we are liked more or we feel more like we belong. And then that in a lot of cases lead us to carry burdens that's not our own. And so I just encourage parents who are watching or youth workers or mentors who are watching to do like Chanel said, reinforce, keep telling the young person, keep telling the young girl that she is important, that she's valuable, that she's lovable, that she is powerful. And the worst thing that we as adults can do when our girls come to us, and not just girls, I specialize in girls, that's why I keep saying girls, but I'm talking about when our children, and this starts way before they become a teenager. The worst thing that we can do is act like we don't believe them. And when we don't believe them, we just shut the door. Whether you are a teacher, a mental health professional, or whenever, and you don't believe them, we just shut the door and shut them down.
Absolutely. That's why I was very upset at the comments that I was reading in social media. I had to just get off for a moment after deleting people because it was just like, these are why our children do not, but at the same time, I see all these broken people who probably somebody didn't believe them or probably happened with them. So now they're projecting that behavior upon other people, which is why R. Kelly has such a big following and have so many supporters to this very day. And 90% of them are women.
Yeah. And even beyond R. Kelly, I mean, he's just the hot topic right now,
right?
For lack of a better word. But even if we bring it back closer to home, if we bring it into our communities, if we bring it into our youth programming, if we bring it into our churches and we bring it into our community centers and our homes, it's like we have to address this issue head on. And like you said in the beginning, we have to really change the narrative around what's done in this house. Because everything in the house isn't healthy. And a lot of times the adults in the house don't know any better, or if they know any better, some of them might be afraid to reach out and do something differently. So I think part of protecting our girls is giving them the permission to be able to share their story or talk to whomever they need to talk to.
Right. Definitely creating a safe space for them to be able to outlet, whether it be poetry and singing and dancing or group talks. I'm very big on group talks and creating in my room an atmosphere for the students in a safe space, confidential. Like they know though, as a mandated reporter, I have to report certain stuff, but I give them an open space. Like I cover the windows. They have a corner where they can sit in. I try to provide a safe space journaling for them to just sit there and just pour out, because that's why we have so much aggression, so much fighting and things like that. Because when you keep following things on the inside and these struggles of what's going in at home, and they don't have a safe space and they don't have an outlet to say, it's like a combustion bottles. And then we have all these little boys and girls who are just bursting to be open and bursting for somebody to just listen when they really just want somebody to listen to them.
That is so true. And we got a comment, and Trinell says, bring it to our counselors at school who try to build relationship. And I think that's important, that the school counselors also build that trusting relationship so that they can be able to hear these stories, and the girls will be more likely to share with them if they trust them. If they don't trust you, they're not going to share. And I think it all comes back to relationship, whether it's in the community, at school, or at home. It all comes back to relationship. And Cassie says, yes,
absolutely.
When you feel the adult doesn't believe you or say it happened to them and they survive it, and it shuts the cry for help down. It's treated like a rites of passage for females. And I totally agree with that statement. It's like, I don't want to hear it. If I can avoid talking about it because I haven't dealt with my own stuff, I'll shut it down in a minute. And that is such an unhealthy attitude, because that's when it goes on from generation to generation to generation.
To generation, absolutely. Absolutely. Keeping those people that we know that has around us. So when we have family gatherings, when we have Thanksgiving, Christmas, and those people are in your face, it's even harder to open up and speak about it, because you have to see that person. So I employ our families, start speaking up, uncle, auntie, granddaddy, whoever, family friend, whoever, start speaking up. We have to break the cycle. We have to. It starts with us. I remember in the video, the one girl, to answer that question, people were like, where are the parents? She was saying, she was from a single parent home. So her mother didn't really know what she was doing. So I think we need to get that village back, because I know if I was doing something, maybe your age, you had somebody, maybe Miss Ann from the block, or to sit on a porch to watch the kids. So her mother was working while her daughter was at a courthouse. So a lot of our parents, it just starts with the family structure. A lot of our parents are out there trying to make it for their families and unintentionally leaving their children unprotected. Yeah. So I think we really have to, like I said, it's so many different layers. To really get that family structure back together so we can really start protecting. And I'm glad you say that, because I work with girls too, but I work with boys as well. Like I'm at a high school and our boys are facing molestation, rape, and abuse as well. And it's not, society doesn't really speak about it. We speak about our girls, but some of those same predators or little boys that were touched on and little boys that were abused, and also going back into getting mental health, getting people into schools, because our kids are spending more time in school than at home. So if we can get mental health professions into the schools and programs to help combat a lot of the trauma, a lot of the environmental factors. With me, as only one of me, I have 50 students. Wow. And I can only see some once a week or in groups 50 minutes a week. but I'm fighting against so many environmental factors because when they step outside my room, they're dealing with so much. But if we had more Mrs. Hills, more Miss Ann, more people in the schools, then it can be more than once a week. Or they kind of, I really need to talk to you, but I'm talking to somebody else at this time and I'm busy. So then they're like, okay, I'll come back later. And they end up not coming back.
Right.
So I think it goes from the families and then into our school system. Being able to put mental health profession, counselors, programs, mentorship programs to help kind of break these cycles that are occurring. Because I believe they can be broken. As bleak as it looks, I really believe it can be broken.
I think so too, because and here's the thing, a lot of times, you know, when young people disclose stuff like this is another reason why young girls don't feel valued, right? A lot of times when they disclose stuff like this, the person close to may not do anything about it because one, they might not want the parents to get mad, or they might feel like, or they might have said to the child, I'll keep the secret, or don't want to betray the child. But that's not even healthy. And I that's why I tell my clients when they first come in, I say, these are the things that I cannot keep a secret.
Absolutely. Yep.
And it's not like I'm gonna go blab, but we're gonna work through it because your safety is first and foremost my utmost what's utmost importance to me. And so I can't keep these things secret. And I think when we are able to help them work through that and not just throw them out there to the wolves, and they're worried about, okay, if I tell, I'm going to be kicked out of my house, or where am I going to be? I'm going to be taken away from my family. A lot of things like that. The kids are processing and they're thinking, but they're processing it alone. And so if we take time to address those issues and help them to come to some level of comfort around that, I think they'll feel safer.
Absolutely. I totally agree. It goes back to providing a safe space for the kids. So that means in your profession, parents not gossiping to everybody in the family. It's if your daughter, your son tells you something, not picking up the phone, calling auntie, or talking to your girlfriends, teachers, those in the schools, not when it somebody comes and asks you, what did she say, or what happened, what's going on with so and so, keeping that information confidential, but reporting to the right individuals. Because if a student sees that, hey, everybody's in my business, then they're not going to want to talk. So we have, as adults, we have to take some accountability as well and kind of check ourselves, even parents kind of check ourselves and helping our kids in providing safe space where they feel open and then reporting to the right people. Because if uncle do something, you don't need to go tell grandma. What grandma gonna do? You need to go to the police. So that even building police, and that goes back to not feeling protected by the police. Because I know out here the police knew things were going on. They were warning R. Kelly about the parents calling him. So I know what other situations and what's going on with the police and community relationships, we have to strengthen those too, so we can feel like if I go to the police, they're not going to look at me like, what were you wearing? What were you doing? What were you saying? It's your fault. Stop telling little girls that they're fast. Stop telling little boys that they're gay if they don't want to have sex with somebody. So it's the whole societal whole going back to relationships and going back to just breaking down societal norms, societal issues, systemic things as well.
I think that's so key. And I have so many girls that I work with, and because a lot of my girls are overachievers, and so they're focused on school and things like that. And I can't tell you how many of them have shared that their parents think that they're gay or that they're a lesbian because they're not interested in boys. And so we find an age now of parents pushing sex, or maybe not even sex, but relationship on their children, and they're not even ready for that. And so you are so right. Stop labeling the kids if they're not indulging in things that you think that they should be by this age.
Absolutely. I hate that word fast. I hate when they tell a little girl, oh, she acting fast or she's acting, because it puts into their mind how they're acting. And it could just be behavior. So as parents, modeling behavior, we can go into that. Adults, modeling behaviors on how you're supposed to act in schools. Parents, if your child sees you always acting a certain type of way, they're going to model that behavior. So we have to do better with Instagram models and all the reality TV and people fighting and people doing all things, dressing any type of way, because our little girls and our little boys are modeling this behavior. And then you're turning around and then you're judging them. So they don't feel safe to be able to talk to you. Because if your first question, like if such and such was talking to me and you're touching on me, and your first thing to say is, well, look at what you're wearing. It in their mind is their fault. So if it's my fault, then I'm not going to tell, because maybe I shouldn't have been wearing this around him, or maybe I shouldn't be hanging out, or maybe I shouldn't be wearing these things. In all naturality, you're the child and they're adult, and it's up to the adult. But we're making our children feel guilty and shame, so then they're not going to want to talk.
That's right. And not to mention, when they feel that level of guilt and shame, what it does to the brain, and how the brain is not, the trajectory of the brain and the brain development changes, right? And you become impaired. It can cause depression. It could cause suicidal thoughts. It could cause suicidal attempts. It could cause so many different things that leads to a more complex issue that you have to deal with.
Absolutely, absolutely. Our kids, we need just to show them better.
And Cassie, Mel says, sometimes, I think this is a good point. She says, sometimes parents or guardians don't want to hear it because they may feel like they're failure, that they could not protect their children. And I think that is such a very good point. And she continued to say, you put that in their mind, then that's how they think they are supposed to act. If you keep telling kids you're acting fast, and you know, let's face it, a lot of times when we're talking about particularly Black girls, a lot of times our Black girls are very developed at a young age. And so you're looking at them and they look like a grown woman, but their minds are not even developed. They have a child's mind. A 12-year-old only been on this earth, what, 144 months?
You're not, scientifically, you're not developed until you're about 21, 22 years old. And then really your brain really isn't developed until you're about 25.
And so putting that amount of pressure or blaming, or seem like you're blaming the child for how their body is developing, that's wrong. And we got to stop doing that. We got to change the narrative so that our girls can feel more protected. So what do you say to that mother out there who's watching and she's like, I can't even approach this subject with my daughter because I haven't even been able to resolve my own stuff that I've gone through? What would you say to that mother?
Absolutely. And that's more common than we want to talk about. I would say to that mom or even dad, because dad, you know, there are a lot of single dads too, and daughters who come into their fathers. I would say you have to deal with your trauma to better yourself, so then your child can see that if a child comes to you. So I employ going to therapy, going to talking to somebody, confronting those issues and dealing with it, being whole, healed from inside out. So then it can be projected in your lifestyle and your behavior. So then your daughter or son or whoever it may be can feel safe to be able to talk to you.
I think that's
So goes back to the airplane. You have to put on your mask first, and then you can help the next. So you have to help yourself be healed and whole, so you can help and break that generational curse for your son, your daughter, your family.
that is so true. And we have some men on the line. And so, Dre, thank you for chiming in. And I would love to hear your perspective on, as a African American male, what are some of the things that you suggest that we do in society to protect our Black girls? So I would love for the men on this live to chime in and drop it in the comment section. And Mel said, yes, go to counseling together so that you can work it through, because that is so important. It does not have to be generational.
It does.
It does not. I remember watching. Yeah, you remember The Color Purple when Whoopi Goldberg, her character, was it Whoopi? No, it was Oprah Winfrey's character. She said, what she say? A colored girl ain't safe nowhere. And I remember that line, and it stood out to me. And it's like, you know what? We can change that narrative. We can change that narrative, but we have to first set the intention that we're going to change it, and we're not going to keep tolerating this kind of behavior. And you know what? The other thing that I was thinking, Chanel, is I was thinking about how we inadvertently start shutting down our girls and their voices by squashing their intuition. You know, like if your daughter comes to you and say, I'm feeling this, or I think this, all right, and you're like, no, get over yourself. You ain't, you know, you kind of shut them down, and that continues to shut down their intuition. And we're teaching them inadvertently not to believe themselves and not to trust what they're feeling. And I think that needs to be changed as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Allowing them to see that their voice does matter. Even if you, as a parent, even if you do know it's not right, still going through that process with them, to showing them, or even you might have felt a certain type of way, things like this, but stop shutting them down. Allow them to speak their mind. Allow them to say, yes, I might be young and I do feel a certain type of way. I can talk about it, whether right or wrong. So that shows them, help them develop into wise decision making, and how to, if I feel a certain type of way, what avenues to go. I think we're shutting them down, so they're not really knowing how to cope or how to really make wise decisions, because they're not allowed to say, and they're being shut down.
That is so true. And Cassandra's on. Thank you for joining. Chastity's on. And next week, Chastity and we're going to be talking about having critical conversation with your girls, your teen girls, or your teens, really, about sex and what that means. And I think that we're going to follow up this conversation with Chastity. But we have a few comments, and Andre says, I feel as an African-American man, I was fortunate to have strong role models that wouldn't allow me to mess up. So we need more men present in the household or present in the school system, basically as big brothers, big brother, big father program. Thank you for sharing that perspective, Dre. I think we do need to see the presence of more of our African-American males. And Cassandra says, good evening, Queen. Families also need to address family history with openness and transparency. Hey, let go of the taboos around the narrative of sexuality, sex, sexual abuse. The wound just continues if family members are not honest about what has happened, but has gone unspoken. How can we protect our children from predators, even among or within our community or families, if we are not talking about it? That is so key. We have to have these conversations. Hey, Denisha, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching us. And so we have to really dispel the taboo around having these conversations. And You know what? That's why we are here on Teen Talk Live, because we are going to talk about it and help give you skills and strategies that transform your minds and your lives and give you the courage to have these conversations. Because you know what? It's not an isolated situation. This is about families. It's about our community. It's about our children. It's about our generation. It's about our future. And so I'm so glad, Chanel, that you took time to join me tonight to have this conversation, to put out solutions out there. Absolutely. Because you know what? All the talk is dying down, and I want to know, what actions are people taking?
Absolutely. I'm all for it. We can talk about it. We can talk about it. We can talk about it. But what are the solutions? What are we doing to help? What are we doing as individuals to help break the cycle? What are we doing to help destroy the generational curse? What are we doing? I don't have any children, biological children, but I do work with a lot of them. So I can try to do my part to help step in and break those generational curse, educate. Because like I said, I work with them, but I know the narrative because it runs in my own family. Not being transparent, not hiding the secrets and stuff, breaking back to grandma, great grandma, great grandma. So how do we break that cycle? And I decided with me it was going to break. So with my girls, I'm trying to build them up so they can break those cycles into me as well. And as someone said, we need strong men. We need to feel protected by our men. That is our natural role. So if we can see more men protecting our Black women, more men protecting our Black girls, they can feel more protected. That's in our schools, that's in our communities. More men out there to help, more men programs to build up young men to show them how to treat their sisters.
Yes. And that narrative we have to change. It's something, because I was interviewing a young woman once, and I said, what do you wish you knew by the time you were 13? And she said, I wish I knew how to be truly loved by a man, so I didn't have to spend so much of my life trying to figure it out. And so, yes, we need more of our men present in our communities, loving our girls in a whole and healthy way, and teaching them how they need to be protected and how to be treated.
Right, because they can stay away. They can spot a predator out there and they say, hey, this is not how I'm supposed to be treated. Hey, because a lot of MO of our predators out there are to kind of feed on that insecurity, feed on that emotion that they're lacking, so they can feed on it. Then they reel you in and they break you down. And then they build you up and they break you down. But if our girls and our boys can see how to love each other platonically, as a friendship, nothing sexual, how we protect each other, so they can say, if a man come up, hey, this ain't right. Let me go ask my big brother, is this supposed to be happening? So then you can talk to big brother and be like, hey, such and such say this. So the brother can, our men can be like, hey, sis, that ain't right. That's not good. Let me go check him. Or let me go say something, because this is not how it's supposed to be. So then the girl can be like, I'm cool. I don't need your money, or I don't need your love, or I don't need to find anything, because it starts within me. So helping protecting our girls too and our boys is helping them to see that how to love themselves from the inside out. So they don't have to go look for that love in anybody else, because when you love yourself, you don't have to search to try to find that love, because it starts from the inside.
That is so true. And that's just what Chanel said. She said, showing our girls how to also love themselves first, that they are worthy. And that is so, so key. And I think we have to do a better job at teaching them how to love themselves, how to appreciate themselves, and what does self-love look like. Because if you don't, there's a lot of people out there ready to tell you that they love you. And like the young woman I interviewed who said she had no idea what love looked like. And so she spent a lot of time trying to figure it out and making a lot of mistakes. So I think as a whole, it's not just R. Kelly's issue. It's not just those girls that were violated issue. I think as a whole, it's a community issue. And I think whether or not you have a daughter or a teen daughter, or I think we have a responsibility as a community to help build each other up.
Absolutely, absolutely. He just magnified the situation. He just triggered and opened the discussion. But it's so much more. He needs to be held accountable. But it's so much bigger than just R. Kelly. It's everywhere and every. I think everybody can relate on somebody, on a predator that they know. I think everybody knows at least one. Outside of R. Kelly, I see it in my schools. I see it in my community. I have them in my own family. So I know. So it's just he's just a celebrity that magnified the light on it. But I'm grateful because it opened up the discussion on abuse and things like that.
Amen to that. And we are coming to the end of our show. I'm so glad y'all took the time to join us for this conversation about how do we protect our Black girls. And if you are still on this live, I want you to just drop in the comment section one thing that you are committed to doing for our community, for our girls. I don't care if your girls are grown. What are you committed to doing to help us protect our girls? Okay, drop it in the comment section, and we are going to have Miss Chanel Hill tell us how she can be reached, how we can find you, and tell us again what you do in the world, Chanel.
So I wear many hats, but I'm just a young lady trying to shine her light and trying to help our young boys and girls. But I currently work at Corliss High School with the Working on Womanhood program, which is a clinical counseling program for those in grades 7 through 12 young girls. I also am over the mental health team at our church. So we can get into that whole another discussion, God plus therapy, but trying to make the norm in our church, talking to our teens about mental health and trauma aspects. I also am now part of Chicago Christian Center Counseling Center. So I am not a teen, I am a children and adolescents therapist, a part-time as well. And I'm also a mentee, I'm a big sister, I'm all types of things, but I'm really just somebody trying to use my life and my experiences and my God-given talents to help change our children, destroy the narratives, break the cycle, educate, end stigma, and just help our children love themselves from the inside out.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for how you serve our community, how you serve our girls, teach them how to protect themselves, how to love themselves. And I'm so grateful again for those who have joined us. Wynn, thank you. She said, tell people about this broadcast. Yes, please share it. Share it in your groups. Share it on social media. Make sure everybody listen to it because there's something in here for everybody. And Dre says a mentor program. Yes, Dre. And I know you're doing a great job with your drums. And that can be such a gathering point for people to come and break down some of those inhibitions and have healthy conversations about stuff that's happening in our community. So I appreciate you for doing that. And I am so grateful again for this opportunity to come to you with another episode of Teen Talk Live. I have been your host, Ann Dillard, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Chanel Hill, for being here, sharing your expertise and your passion.
So in the comments, I'm going to leave all my contact. Yes. So my Facebook, my ChanelDenae.com is my website. On Instagram, I'm Miss Hill, the social worker. On Facebook and Twitter, Chanel Denae. So I'll leave in the comments on how we can continue to this conversation, continue to educate, and you guys can contact me as well.
Awesome. And Cassandra said,
thank you, Ann, for having me. It's such an amazing.
Yes, we're going to have to read your book, Unchain My Legacy, and discuss healthy relationships and break the cycle, moving towards healing. That is so amazing. Her and her family, they're going to be reading Unchain My Legacy and discussing healthy relationships. And I'll drop the link to Unchain My Legacy in the comment section. And I'm so grateful, so grateful for you all to step up and have this conversation, because you know what? A lot of things we found out about R. Kelly was not a surprise, but nobody did anything to stop it. And so we have to take action. It's not enough to feel badly. We have to take action. So thank you again for joining us, and look in the comment section for more information. Oh, Denasia said, I will continue to lift up young people I know, so into their life and love. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Thank you. And Dr. Dana, thank you for being here with us tonight as well. All right, love you all, and see you next week when we're having healthy conversations, critical conversations with Chastity Chandler about sex, and how do we talk to our young people about sex. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.